Hello and welcome to Jazz Notes. Do you ever hear those strange, whispered stories from the unknown and wonder, is that real? Where did that even come from? Well, you've come to the right place. The stories I'm going to share with you are inspired by real-life experiences, and we're going to explore them together. Just a quick heads up. My perspective is rooted in my belief in God and the Bible. If that's not your cup of tea, no worries at all. I'm not here to force my views on anyone. You're free to stay and listen with an open mind or click away, totally your call. Also, please remember that all the content and stories on this channel belong exclusively to Jazz Notes. Now let's dive in. I remember being a kid, and just like many of you, I was absolutely fascinated by the supernatural. I'm not entirely sure why I was so drawn to it, but I think the culture I grew up in had a lot to do with it. Stories of vampires, werewolves, ghosts, witches, ... You name it, I was hooked. Anything mysterious and unknown captivated my imagination. I grew up in a household that believed in God, but our faith was more about rituals than a real relationship. We'd go to church, recite memorized prayers, and go through the motions. We weren't really taught to rely on the Bible as our guide. Because of this, I didn't realize that some of the things I was getting into were things God actually warns against. I'm talking about things like trusting in so-called healers or believing in lucky charms. Without knowing it, I was opening doors to things I shouldn't have been. Let me share a story with you that my mom told me when I was about 6 years old. It has stuck with me ever since. She told me that a neighbor had passed away, and my mom went to the wake to pay her respects. As she was getting ready to leave, she looked toward the doorway and froze. Standing there was the very man who was lying in the casket. My mom said he was wearing the exact same clothes he was laid out in for the funeral. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, staring straight at her. And my mom just stood there, petrified, until another person came along, walking towards the same door. This person walked right through the figure. Imagine seeing that! The person just passed through the apparition as if it were air, and then, just like that, the figure vanished. I remember asking her over and over, "Mom, what was that? What did you see?" She just calmly replied, "It was a ghost." Then she told me this old belief that when a person dies, their spirit stays on earth for 40 days. Of course, as I grew and studied the Bible, I learned that's not actually what happens. What my mom saw is what the Bible calls a familiar spirit. In Leviticus 19:31, there's a clear warning. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spirits, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. The Bible is very direct about not trying to consult the dead. So are ghosts real? In a way, yes. And what about vampires, werewolves, witches, and all those other creatures of the night? From a biblical standpoint, these are manifestations of demonic or unclean spirits. They are masters of deception, often appearing as our departed loved ones, or in other forms to trick us. Their goal is to make us believe in them, to engage with them, and to draw our focus away from God. When you try to talk to what you think is a ghost, you could actually be dealing with something much more sinister. So what's our defense? The most powerful weapon we have is prayer. The key is to not engage with these things. Don't show curiosity. Don't try to communicate. Proverbs 3-7 says, "Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil." It's about trusting in a higher power for protection, not our own understanding. I have many more experiences to share about familiar spirits. In future videos, we'll also take a deeper dive into the beings some cultures call vampires or shapeshifters, like the Aswang in the Philippines, and explore what they are from this perspective. We'll break down these topics more deeply as we go, so make sure you don't miss any uploads. If you learned something new or found this interesting, please consider sharing this video, giving it a like, and subscribing to the channel. I have so many more stories and truths to unveil. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.